good question. I I was in Kingston there, and a guy was working. He was working for Boston at the time. His name was Bill Reeson. He was a scout for Boston. Gary Young was with Boston for quite a while, and this Bill Reeson, he saw me play a lot of games with Queen's University. He thought I was a pretty good player, and he made this known to Gary Young. When Gary Young went to California, they start they picked up a team called the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles. And now I'll give you the history of the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles in a minute. But Gary Young was receptive to signing me with the assumption I was going to go to the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles, but I'd be part of the California Seals organization. Maybe I'd make the big club. And I eventually did. But here's what happened to the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles. I was owned by the Salt Lake. They were an independent minor league team that had started, I think, in '69. And they were owned by a guy, and I can't think of his name now, who committed suicide. And his wife ended up owning the team, but she didn't want the team, so she sold it to Charlie Finley to be part of the California Seals organization. When I signed with California in '72, I was kind of ticketed for the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles, and I did play a few games there. But over the course of that summer of '72, the California Seals lost a lot of guys to the World Hockey Association. Tommy Webster, Bobby Sheehan, Big Swoop Carlton, do you remember him? They all jumped to the World Hockey Association. Jerry Pinder, who I'd played with on the national team, was part of the he jumped to the Cleveland Crusaders. I think they lost about 9 players, and about 5 of them were good forwards. So with every guy signing with the World Hockey Association, I move up the depth chart, right? And so I ended up in the California Seals organization, and I played mostly for the California Seals, rather than the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles. But that was something that happened over that last summer. It was good because I was, one of the things I say in my own defense, or whatever you want to call it, I was always in pretty good shape. So when I would go to pro camps, I would look good because I was in a lot better shape than some of the guys were that would show up there. And by golly, and that's part of the reason I made the California Seals right away, is because I was good in that training camp. And I remember an inter-squad game, I scored 3 or 4 goals there, and I can say that in that training camp, I can kind of see it in my mind. That inter-squad game was when they started to think about me as a possibility for the big club rather than Salt Lake City, and so that's where I ended up. Well, Marshall Johnston was there, whom I had played with the national team. He became one of my best friends in hockey. He still is. He lives in Bemidji, Minnesota, and he was on the team already. And when I joined the team, and I would say, among the players on the Seals, I got to know a lot of them, and they became good friends of mine in many cases. I wouldn't say I knew anybody other than Marshall to begin with, but I got to know a lot of them. And one of the guys that I really grew to admire with the Seals was Gilles Meloche, who was the goaltender, and he was a very good goaltender, and I thought he was one of the best teammates you could ever have, because he never, Seals were not one of the better teams in the league. We're always out of the playoffs, and he never blamed any of the guys or anything about how is this guy loose in front of the net or anything like that. His job was to stop pucks, and that's the way he approached it. My job is to keep the puck out of the net, and if it's in the net, it's my fault. That's perfect teammate to have, especially in a goaltender. And he's still involved in hockey, I think, with Pittsburgh as a goaltender coach. And then I like some of the guys I got to know pretty well. I got to know Reggie Leach pretty well with the Seals. Good guy. All of them were good guys. Just we weren't we were, for some reason, and I thought we had a lot of good players, but like Reggie Leach, Ivan Boldarev, Walt McKechnie, Gilles Meloche, a lot of good players, but we were never good enough to be a good team in the NHL. Ron Houston, Spike Houston came there. He was at Salt Lake City for quite a little while. He's a Brandon guy. I knew him to play against him because he was with Brandon Wheat Kings when I was with Weyburn. But I got to know him then with both Salt Lake City and with, he became one of my best friends. He was both Salt Lake City and California. He's the only guy I ever knew, by the way, who became a better skater the heavier he got. When he played with Brandon Weeks, he was about 145 pounds, and he started to put on weight. And by the time he played with California, he must have been about 185, and he was a better skater. Well, I would say it was just a constant thing with me. I can't remember anybody ever any kind of initiation ceremony or any kind of game where the first thing they did is say, go out and see what that guy's made of. I don't remember that happening. I think I talked actually to Jim Nielsen about this one time, and he said it used to happen more often in the days of the 6-team league, where you only had maybe one guy on each team that was a rookie. See, when I joined the California Seals, about 5 guys were newcomers. So I just don't ever remember that happening to me.